Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Porter Says podcast with your host and only host Heath, of course. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode. Um, I will not. I will do my best to make this a bit shorter than the last one. Even though the last few episodes have been a little bit shorter than usual. I don't want to keep you for too long, and I say that every episode, but I'm gonna try my best. So, you guys know the drill by now. We'll talk about some films and a couple of bits of TV, and I'm also going to be reviewing at the end of this episode Sinners from 2025, starring Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld, as well as a few others. So stay tuned for that, and I will put timestamps so you can click around and as you please. If you just want to come here for Sinners, that's the main point really that I think most of you, I'm hoping, will come for, because so let's get on with everything as usual. So we'll talk about the bits of TV, I guess, that I've been watching. So obviously episode 3 of The Last of Us season 2 came out yesterday. Give you my quick thoughts on that. It's pretty solid. Not as good as episode 2, but I don't think that was really a surprise. It was more of an aftermath of the last episode, so it kind of was a little bit slow and took a while to get going and all that. But it was still really solid, and I'm liking the show. So, and just last night, actually, I started another Smallville rewatch. I was just like, you know what? It's been about 3 or 4 years since I last watched the show. Let's give it a go. So I am currently watching the first season again, and obviously really enjoying it because I love the show and I love the story. I love the characters and everything. It's just a really solid show. So who knows? You expect a review of the first season in a later episode of this podcast, potentially, if you guys are interested in even seeing that. Because I have given my thoughts on the show, but I would like to go into more detail and have more fresh thoughts on said show. Oh, and also back to The Last of Us. It's been renewed for season 3, so let's go. Very, very exciting. I can't wait to see what that brings for us. Okay, so I guess that means moving on to the news already. I just figured I'd get a bit of the TV talk out of the way. So I'll go down the list. Enola Holmes 3 has begun shooting, with Millie Bobby Brown returning to her role. I enjoyed the first two. That they were definitely some of the better Netflix original films, for sure. I liked the very much detective style, and I liked the concept, and it was executed well. I don't remember too much from the sequel, really. I thought it was pretty good, but not super memorable or anything. But still a decent enough sequel where I'm like, okay, I want to see where a third movie could go. I'm going to assume Henry Cavill is coming back, I hope, because I really like him as Sherlock Holmes, because he is in that story, but it's just more focused on Millie Bobby Brown's character. Enola, who breaks the fourth wall quite a bit, which is quite funny, going to that kind of Deadpool style of breaking the fourth wall, but just not dirty humor and no swearing, I guess. It's quite funny. Okay. Ready or Not has a sequel coming out, which Ready or Not was the first one was a movie that came back out in 2019 that starred Samara Weaving and a few others, but I can't remember the cast that well. I think Adam Brody, I think is his name, who was in the OC and actually makes an appearance in Smallville, was in it. But with this sequel, it's added a couple of new cast members, which is very, very exciting. So, the cast members are Sarah Michelle Gellar. Obviously, you know her as Buffy, or Daphne, if you're a Scooby-Doo fan. You got Elijah Wood, who most of you should know as Frodo Baggins from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And from the movie North, if anybody's ever heard of that movie, that's a childhood one of mine. He made his very first film appearance in Back to the Future Part 2 as one of the kids in the 80s cafe scene when Marty and Doc go to the future of 2015. As well as many, many others. So, and the last cast member is David Cronenberg. I'm trying to think. The name does sound familiar, but I can't quite I can't quite think what he looks like, or if he's... I think he's a big director. I know he's a pretty big director. So that's... I don't know if he's directing it, but I think he's involved somehow. So that's very exciting. Because, I really enjoyed that first movie. It was a very gory, violent, fun little horror flick. And I love Samara Weaving. I'm glad to see her in a lot of roles. She was the star of the Babysitter movie, so Babysitter and Babysitter Killer Queen. She made an appearance in Scream 6. I believe she got her start back in either Neighbours or Home and Away, I think. I honestly don't know. Both those shows really blend together for me. I don't know which one it is until it goes to an ad break or something, or I see the title on a clip on YouTube or something. But that's pretty exciting overall for Ready or Not 2. I didn't even really think a sequel was happening, to be honest. I think I'd heard little rumors here and there, but the fact that it's officially happening is really cool, and I can't wait to see what Samara Weaving's character has been up to since the end of the first movie. And she was the only, spoiler alert for the first movie, she was the only survivor in that film. All the other family members, who essentially are trying to kill her and do this whole ritual or something, they all end up biting it. So it's yep. Okay. So now we'll move on to just the film. So I've got, technically 4, but it's really just 3 ones I want to mention and see if you've ever heard of them. And I hope you have, because they're all pretty solid. 2 of them, I'm sure you will. 1, it is a new release this year that came recently onto streaming, so I don't know how many of you will. No. But we'll get that one out of the way. Companion, which came out this year. Again, recently came onto HBO Max streaming service, which has finally come to Australia. I won't really go into the plot too much. I feel like if you saw the trailer, you kind of know, and if there's a poster on the screen right now, you'll figure it out. But I was not expecting much from Companion, but I ended up really, really liking it. I thought it was not super, super violent, but there was a decent amount of gore in there, or carnage candy, as most people are calling it these days. But it was a really solid movie. It has Jack Quaid as one of the main leads, and I think Jack Quaid. I really like him as an actor. I think most of you would know him from The Boys. I remember seeing him in Scream 5. I really liked him in that. He was in Novocaine, which was a new release movie. I haven't seen that yet, but I think that's getting a lot of rave reviews, and I do want to see that, because he is a good actor and he was very good in this movie. The main actress, whose name I cannot remember at all, so I'm going to be so unprofessional and look her up, because I'm just that great. Sophie Thatcher. There we go. Sophie Thatcher as our main lead, called Iris. She was really good. Like, has a really good performance in this movie. But Companion, I would definitely really recommend that one to you for sure as a new released film. And then the next one, the next two, they're much older films, so that's pretty cool, I guess. The Spiderwick Chronicles from 2008. Freddie Highmore, Martin Short, Nick Nolte, and Seth Rogen, just to name a few actors in that movie. This is a massive childhood film. It was one of those movies that came out in the early 2000s that's in that very realm of kid fantasy movies that was, trying to capture the essence and success of the Harry Potter movies, which they were slowly coming towards an end. I think Spiderwick Chronicles came out in 2008. I think the fifth Potter movie released the year before, and then about within like 3 years, 09, 010, and 011, the last three Potter movies were released. So it was in that realm where it was trying to, well, since Harry Potter's coming to an end, we got to try and have these other like big fantasy film franchises start. Like, we got to get Narnia started, which was very successful with the first movie anyway. But Spiderwick Chronicles, I honestly really I love that movie. I rewatched it like a week or two ago, and I still love it. Such a fun film. It's a little bit more darker. And honestly, I think it's better than some of the Potter movies. Not all of them, but I think it's better than maybe 5, 6, 7. So like Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, and Deathly Hallows Part 1. But obviously it's not as good as like the first 4 or the last one. But I really do like it. I think the special effects do hold up pretty well. Like, you got Thimbletack, who's this like little he's not a goblin. I think they call him no, not a brownie. That's what happens when he gets angry. I can't remember what they call him. I think, no, yeah, he is a brownie. That's what he is. But he turns into something else, which I can't remember the name of, when he gets angry. I think the finale is a lot of fun. I think Nick Nolte as the villain Molgrath, who turns out to be this like massive troll who's after this book, which is like, the Spiderwick Chronicles. They call it the Field Guide, which is all has these different creatures, and written by Arthur Spiderwick, who does show up in the movie at some point to try and help out our main characters to sort out everything. But yeah, it's a solid kids fantasy movie that I think a lot more people should give credit for. And the last one, Madagascar. Everyone should know Madagascar. Ben Stiller, Chris Rock, David Schwimmer, Jada Pinkett Smith, Sacha Baron Cohen, Cedric the Entertainer, and many, many others in those movies. The Penguins of Madagascar in those movies. I grew up with this movie. I feel like I have a lot of nostalgia for it. I really like Chris Rock as Marty the Zebra, and David Schwimmer as Melman the Giraffe is hilarious. Just because I just love David Schwimmer as an actor a lot. I think he's great. Ben Stiller does pretty good, and Jada Pinkett Smith is good as Gloria. I'm not going to bother getting into the stuff like that she's done, but particularly talking about the first movie, it's a really good. I think it's DreamWorks. Yeah, it's a really good DreamWorks movie. It's not as good as Shrek or anything, but I think it was good enough to obviously get 2 more movies and a spin-off series but a spin-off movie with the Penguins of Madagascar leading that one. But when you're talking about the first movie, it's just a really fun kids movie. That with the story of the movie, while not anything amazing and a little bit cliched, it's still done well. A lot of kids obviously will get a kick out of it. Adults even enjoy it. My dad enjoys this movie, so King Julian, obviously, Sacha Baron Cohen, iconic. Love his role, all the comedy stuff with him. But I don't think, honestly, in the first movie, and really all three, but just talking about the first one, it doesn't really have a villain. I've noticed a lot of kids animated movies, you don't really know the villain is until they kind of flat out show it to you or point the villain out to you. So I find it quite funny with that film. But overall, Madagascar is a lot of fun. It's one of the better DreamWorks movies in terms of ones that were coming out around the time of Shrek, when Shrek was really popular. I think it's better than some of the Shrek sequels. I think it's better than Shrek 3 and 4, obviously. I'm sure I'll give my thoughts on the other two once I rewatch them, so stay tuned for that. Alrighty. Now, let's get to Sinners. With Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld. Essentially, to kind of get the plot out of the way, if I'll do my best to describe plots, because I am pretty terrible at that. I'm not the best, but I'll try. So, essentially, it takes place in 1932. You got Michael B. Jordan playing these two twin brothers. Obviously, have very distinct personalities, so you can tell, when one of them's on screen, you go, oh, that's that. Oh, that's him. I'm gonna look up the characters just because I'm awesome. So Michael B. Jordan plays the twin brothers of Smoke and Stack. It takes place, I believe it's in Mississippi or something like that, I think. Essentially, they're opening up their own little kind of country western bar or something. And essentially, a bunch of vampires show up and are trying to get inside to, obviously vampires do what they do. Try and kill everybody, take their blood, turn them into other vampires and build a whole community and take over this place of Mississippi. Sinners, when I heard how positive, how good the reception was to this movie, I had to see this film immediately. I was like, for the love of God, I need to see this. And I went and saw it at my local cinema in Gold Class, or whatever they call it, Gold, here. And it was just my dad, my sister, and her partner. And that's it. There was no one else in the theater. And it was a hell of a time. Sinners, at this point, is my favorite movie of the year. It is very gory, violent, funny, fantastic performances. Michael B. Jordan owns this role. Haley Steinfeld is so good in this movie. This might be her best role yet. And I've loved her in everything I've seen her in. But she's really good. She's playing the character of Mary. Jack O'Connell, who is essentially the main villain vampire of the flock of vampires. He was very good, very menacing in this movie. But the standout for me is Miles Caton, who plays Sammy. I believe this is his first role, first acting credit, and he's up and coming, and he might have stolen the show. He was flat out brilliant. He's got a fantastic singing voice. He's got this really cool, deep voice. I don't know how and that's how he sounds in real life. I'm pretty sure, because I watched a bunch of interviews after I saw this movie. Pretty sure he sounds like that. And it's going to sound weird, but it's a glorious voice. He is so good in this film. They have a really cool musical-esque sequence where he starts singing and all that, and it was really, really well done. What I liked about the movie in particular is a very slow build. You're getting to know each of these characters as they come on, or as they come onto screen, and you pretty much care for every single one of them, and you don't want any of them to die, which is really good for a movie that's come out recently, because a lot of new release movies, there's times where you're just not caring about the characters at all, or like you don't care for them as much. You only care about maybe like the main lead, like main two leads, but every character in this movie I really liked. I don't think there was a single character that I disliked, and I wanted to see them fight their way to the end. But yeah, as I was saying, it's a very slow build, and you don't see too many like jump scares per se. But once you get to that finale, it just goes all out with the violence and the vampires getting people and all that stuff. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the trailer, you do have Haley Steinfeld, who does get bitten at one point by the main vampire. It's really cool because she goes out, because they're trying to come in, and Michael B. Jordan is essentially like not letting them at all. And she goes out, because she hears them singing, and essentially she's like very weirded out at one point, starts to walk away, and then just as a quick shot, you see the main vampire, Jack O'Donnell or something, jump up, and it just cuts. My God. Just terrifying shots. And the movie is shot beautifully. Really, like, gorgeous cinematography. I mean, what else can I really say about this movie? It impressed me so much. I really recommend you go see this on, like, the biggest screen you can. It is so good. So that's Sinners. And that's going to conclude this episode of the Porter Says podcast with your host and only host, Heath, of course. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know down below what you thought of this video and what you thought of Sinners if you have seen it, what you thought about the news I talked about and the other films and a couple of the TV shows. Share this with your friends and family, and listen to it on Spotify as well if you want to. I'm not forcing you to, but I would recommend it for sure. And I'll catch you guys next time. Take care, everyone.